So welcome to another interview. So today we've got the lovely Lauren Malone with us. So I'm just going to read a little bit of bio out about Lauren, and then we're going to get into the actual interview. We're doing it slightly different this time, so it's not questions, it's more subjects that we're going to talk around, which will be quite nice. So if I read Lauren's bio, and then I'll explain to people how I know Lauren, and then we'll get into the actual presentation. That'll be great. So Lauren Malone is a Senior Events and Campaigns Manager at Enterprise Nation, and she runs two campaigns. One, which most people will know I have an engagement with as well, which is She Means Business, and we'll talk about that in a little while, with Facebook supporting women to move forward with their business online. And also she's got this with Zero, TSB, O2 Business and UPS, encouraging and supporting 15,000 women to start, grow and thrive in business in 2020. 8 years experience in the events management from weddings and international congresses. So, and I'm sure that that'll come into the conversation as well as we start going through things, Lauren. So welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
That's no problem. So, so if we can, we've done our introductions there, and I did sort of say that I would sort of explain how I know Lauren, which will become apparent as we start going through the slides. But Lauren, I think we've probably known each other. Is it maybe 2 or 3 years that you've been on the program now? I don't really know.
A couple of years. Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah, so Lauren and I met through the She Means Business program, of which I'm one of the trainers, but Lauren is the person that we kind of work with at Enterprise Nation and supports us through that program. And there is 25 trainers, as far as I'm aware, across the UK, but more will become apparent in a moment. So first of all, let's have a chat about that and explain a little bit more. So tell me, it would be good to know kind of how we're doing on the project, and what's the essence and the sort of meaning behind that whole program.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you briefly touched on what She Means Business is, but just to give a bit more context. So She Means Business it's actually a global program that was started by Facebook, I believe 4 or 5 years ago. So I came on board with the program, like you say, about 18 months, 2 years ago, to help facilitate the program from Enterprise Nation and make sure our trainers are happy and the campaign deliverables are in fact met. So She Means Business began to support, I would say, mainly female entrepreneurs on their business journey, primarily to help them, I guess, grow online. So using social media platforms such as Facebook and the Facebook family of apps to help them maybe start their business, sell products online, promote, engage with their community, etc. And also help them with digital marketing skills that will help them on their business journey as well. So as you mentioned, we have a team of 25 trainers in the UK, all across the UK. So we've got trainers in London, Scotland, Huddersfield, Norfolk, Lincoln, so yeah, everywhere. A really nice spread of trainers that are all in their own right social media experts. So maybe they have their own business, they are freelancing or consulting in that area. So I came on board really to make sure that the campaign was sort of moving along nicely, and we were reaching our 10,000 target. So we were given a target of 10,000 women to train last year, which we met, which I'm really glad about. So that was actually an offline target. So that was basically meeting 10,000 women in a offline capacity, so be it a meetup, a training workshop, a clinic, a one-to-one, and basically upskilling them in social media, digital marketing. So obviously this year we had a strong start where we were meeting people at the start of the year, and then the coronavirus hit, and we had to deliver all training in a virtual capacity. Now, obviously Facebook are a very large international company, so they have been extremely careful in their obviously that how they work with people during coronavirus and beyond. So we will be continuing to work with female founders as part of She Means Business for the rest of the year in an online, so in a virtual capacity. So Janet, yourself will deliver training for us, maybe via a Facebook Live, maybe via a live Q&A session, or a one-to-one clinic. And I'm so delighted to say that obviously amidst all the, the negatives of coronavirus for small businesses, it's also enabled us actually to meet and train a lot more female founders. So I actually completed my Q2 report a few days ago, and we are just shy of 15,000 women trained, and we haven't even gone through to Q3 yet. We've just started Q3, which is amazing. So we've been able to smash our target already, which is just phenomenal. And I'm so grateful for all the trainers for their expertise and taking the time to help me along the way with trainings, etc. So yeah, in essence, the campaign is doing so well, and it's such a delight to meet some amazing female founders and work with the trainers, and we will continue this year to support people as best we can in a virtual capacity. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit more of a kind of, gives more of an essence of what the program is about. But obviously, if anyone has any questions afterwards, then I would love to connect with you. So please do reach out to me personally.
And I have to say a couple of things. So yeah, I mean, one of them is that we've been doing some bits and pieces online, through Enterprise Nation, and so I think we've got a couple set up in the diary where I've got a Q&A session, lunchtime Q&A with Enterprise Nation on a panel with some of the other She Means Business trainers coming up. I think that's the beginning of August, and I know Esther's got something set up as well, so she'll be delivering something. But yeah, we're doing some things on an ongoing basis. And that's brilliant to hear where we are with the targets and how things are going. That's fantastic news. I have to say, and one thing that I've probably not told you enough, Lauren, I might have put it in an email a couple of weeks ago, but I have to say, you are so on it when it comes to facilitating that whole process of the trainers, just making sure that we're aware of what's going on and what we can engage with. And with the best will in the world, we're a blooming nightmare to work with in the past, or we have been, in that we are so busy with various different things that we probably don't come back to you enough. But actually, because of your emails that come through that goes, we've got these things going on, and I would suggest that this person does this, we kind of go, yeah, I can do that. So rather than going, who wants to do it, and nobody coming back to you, the fact that you kind of go, I think these would be great for these people, and then them telling you whether they can or can't make it is a much better solution. And I'm sure that you've found that we're getting a better result because of that, rather than leaving it up to us to tell you what we can do. So
no, I really do appreciate that. And you know what, I absolutely appreciate that you are all running your own businesses, and that is absolutely number one priority. But as easy and smoothly I can make the process to enable you guys to keep supporting the campaign when is suitable for you. So yeah, hopefully that's that process is okay.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a partnership, isn't it, really? It's got to be that there's a reason to do it, but it has some benefit to Facebook, to Enterprise Nation, and to the individual trainers that are involved in that. And if it doesn't, then somewhere along the line, it's all going to fall short. But I actually feel that none of that does, because it does support all of those components. So it's a great way of doing it. So, and I think it's taken it took us maybe a year or so to get into that, but then now I feel that the way it's delivered right now, and has been done for some time, for at least a year plus, then it's just a great program, and it's seamless in terms of the way that we all work together, and hopefully the people then come on board with that and get the training, see something that's of real value. And I'm sure you get this feedback. We get the feedback all the time that people really do appreciate the sessions that we put on locally. So whether that's been face-to-face or online, we do get that feedback that actually it's really, really valued. So, and people do look out for things coming up in the diary, which I'm sure, you know, Enterprise Nation will see a lot of that, where they're getting the sort of value add on the back of that. And if anybody is unfamiliar of how to access these, yeah, obviously speak to Lauren, but if you go to the Facebook page for Enterprise Nation, you will see so much information there that helps you to see and work out, well, actually, what's of value to me or not. And also that then is hopefully going to take you through to the website, which again has an enormous amount of resources in there, not just about Shimi's business, not just about Facebook, but everything else that you do. But I'm sure, again, we'll talk about this as we start going through, because there's various components within this presentation that is going to lead us on to elements that I know you've got a passion for and stuff, Lauren. So thank you for that. So the next bit that we are going to have a look at is topic number 2, is the importance of finding your tribe as a small business owner. So tell me why you feel that this is important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is a real, I guess, passion of mine, and that's sort of finding your tribe is a bit of a kind of a buzzword at the moment, but I think it is more important than ever before to feel supported and also feel that you have a network of like-minded people around you. I think my passion for this, I guess, started when I started working at Enterprise Nation a couple of years ago, and I saw the power of small business meetups. I saw the power and the value of small business owners coming together and chatting through problems and you know, helping each other and being each other's sort of soundboard for different ideas. And what that also enabled was relationships to flourish, and then it enabled people to actually collaborate together. So I definitely saw that there was a real a real need and a real importance to have these groups, whether that be in an offline capacity or online. And also, I think it is really important to ensure that you are surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I think when a lot of people might, for example, be in a corporate job, they might have a full-time job and they are not fulfilled and they really want to start their own business. It can not only be quite a lonely process, but also it can be a process where maybe your family and friends might might not get it. They might feel that it might just be a little bit too risky. They might think, oh, you've got this full-time job, you're getting a salary every month. Why risk that? Why jeopardize that? So, you know, family love us 100%, but they might not actually be the people that you need by your side as you start your business journey. You start setting up something for yourself. So that is why I think it is really important to make sure that you find your like-minded tribe, because they are the people that are going to really empathize with what you're going through and really support you in your journey, because they are going through it themselves and they understand the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And also, I guess that the sort of last point on that is I fully understand that being a small business owner can be a really quite lonely and isolating experience. Sorry, loud traffic outside, living in London. So yeah, I think for me, I've worked with people that maybe are building their side hustle, maybe building their passion project before work, after work, with the hope that they will then be able to leave a job and fulfill it at, you know, full time. But that can be a really, really lonely place. Maybe you're sat at the kitchen table, you know, at 11 p.m. at night, and you haven't really got anyone to chat to. Maybe you've taken the plunge and you're doing your passion and you're growing your business full time from home, and again you've lost that sort of, you know, camaraderie of people in an office that you can chat to and meet after work for a drink, and all that is kind of, you know, lost almost. So I think it is really important to make sure that you are making the effort to still talk to people. I think it's so easy when you're growing something to be so focused and so kind of on your laptop and really not looking up to take a breath. But in fact, if you take the time to network and meet people, there's endless possibilities that can come out of that. just from a personal experience, I obviously don't own my own business, but I help people that do own their own business. And for me, during lockdown, for example, personally, I have, tripled my Instagram following. I have tripled my connections on LinkedIn, because this free time has enabled me to speak to even more people. So I've managed to I guess, find the positives during this pandemic, to really connect with people that I haven't managed to in the past, because life gets in the way, your 9 to 5 gets in the way, and on the back of that, I've managed to collaborate with some amazing people. I've been able to source speakers for my events. I've been able to collaborate on different opportunities and different panels, so for me it's been a huge positive. So I guess that a takeaway I would say from this discussion is really think about the people that you want to surround yourself with, because those are the people that are really going to pick you up on the days that you're feeling low. And they are the people that you can trade with and you can collaborate with, and they're really going to be your network. And you know what, Facebook, for example, is an amazing place to start. There's so many different Facebook groups. There's so many different ways that you can connect with people. Don't be afraid to slide into somebody's DMs. Don't be afraid to send them a LinkedIn request. Just be mindful that you need to come across as personable and honest and authentic and genuine. So make sure that you do your homework on this person, and make sure that you think that they're going to be, an asset to you, and vice versa. So yeah, I would definitely stress the importance of meeting people and finding like-minded people. But yeah, I think I've rambled on there, but hopefully I've got my point across.
No, that's perfect, and it's interesting that we've been going for just short of 9 years. It'll be 9 years in October, and I remember when I set up Social Progress. I'd been a business advisor before doing what I do now, so I'd got a good network around from a business perspective. But you're absolutely right, setting up Social Progress, I was like, all right, so I actually gave myself 6 months and thought, I'll see how I go for 6 months, and if I'm not making any money, I need to rethink it and maybe get a job. I'd never had my own business, and so it's an interesting one for me. I was as you probably know, if you've seen on my social media, Lauren, I was 60 last week. So I was 51 when I set up Social Progress. It's my first ever business. So it was a bit of a daunting prospect, if you like. But I had a contact of mine that I knew when I worked in Business Link as a business contact. And she happened to be a networking event that I went to. And she said, oh, shall we meet for a coffee? I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And then she said, what I'm looking to do is do like set up this group of maybe 6 people that all help each other, all in different businesses. So we're all coaches in some way, but not all. So one thing that I wouldn't have wanted to do is maybe set up a group of everybody doing the same thing. So I wouldn't have done it with all social media consultants, let's say, but we were all coaches in. One was nutrition, another one was about weight management, another one was about mindfulness, another one was about helping children in schools with looking at things in a positive light. So we didn't need to be coached, if you like, but we all had some coaching principles. But we set this group up of 6 of us, and we met on a regular basis. And you're absolutely spot on with what you've said. So there were days where I was like, oh my gosh, why have I done this? What am I doing? And it's those days where somebody else would pick you up and go, oh, hang on a minute here, look where you are, look at how far you've come, look at what you've achieved. And I'm like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. And then there's other days where, I remember getting a quite a sizable piece of work. There's a tender that I'd put in for, and I actually achieved it, and it was quite a large amount. And I was, like, oh, great, that's fantastic. I looked around, was like, oh, right, I've got nobody to share that with. But then when I spoke to that group, it's like they were all really pleased for me. So it's a similar sort of thing as what you've just been saying. It's like you've got that people around you that can celebrate with you, but also bring you up when you're not feeling 100%. So totally understand that. We don't actually communicate in the same way anymore, but we're 9 years on now, so we don't feel we need that. And that's not to say I don't have a network of people around me. I absolutely do, and I still network, but I've identified the networking that I need to do, but I don't need to do loads of networking. It's finding the right people to network with, let's say. So and that group of 6 people, we called ourselves Pride, which stood for Purpose, Results, Inspiration, Determination, and Evolve. So so actually, and I hadn't even realized, we kind of almost fell into that. It wasn't something that we looked at other models and thought, yeah, let's replicate that. We just did it. But then when I've told other people about that, just as you've just said, a lot of people have gone, all right, I think I probably need to do that. And if they do, and they find, 6 people that they can meet up with on a regular basis, fantastic, because I absolutely, that made social progress what it is. I wouldn't be social progress if it wasn't for those 5 other people that helped me with that. So that's a really good point. So thank you for that. Okay, so next topic is the power of collaboration. So probably leads us on slightly to that, but slightly differently. So tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, again, as you say, I think it aligns quite nicely with what we spoke about finding your tribe, finding your like-minded people that you can connect with. And I think recently I have really seen the power of collaboration, because I think when you start off as a small business owner, you go from, maybe you've had a full-time job in a certain area. So for example, for me, it would be event management, project management. But if I was to set up my own business, I would need to be the marketeer, the person that does the budget, the finance, the networking, the sales, the everything else. And actually, you might not necessarily be skilled in those areas. And I think that can be quite a worry when somebody starts off, because they just think, oh my goodness, for example, I'm creative, I have a passion, I can make these amazing pieces to sell, but I have absolutely no idea how to, I don't know, get some seed funding, for example, or try and get a small bank loan, or maybe market the product. I've got no idea how to set up a website. So all these things that are integral to your business success, you might not actually know how to do. And I think that can be quite off-putting and scary at first, but with the power of collaboration, in fact, going back a step, all those people that you've met now in your tribe that are from all different backgrounds, all different industries, have all these different skill sets. In fact, now that you've built a really honest, transparent relationship with them that isn't built on take, then it's about giving and taking. You can actually potentially call on those people that are experts in that area. So for example, if you knew somebody that was well equipped with marketing, you might say to them, listen, I've got this new product, could we get together, because I really need to just get some advice on some simple marketing tips. Or it might be that they could help you set up an Instagram page, for example. So I would just say that I think people are willing to help you. I think there's a fine line between just kind of, as I said before, sort of taking and continuing to take. I think it has to be a transactional relationship where you are helping one another. But I think in those early stages that people are very much willing to do that. And I think more than ever before now, because of obviously, coronavirus, the pandemic, there's been a real emphasis on that feeling of community. And I do think that is still quite strong. I don't know about yourself, but for what I've seen is people are now a lot more, I don't know, maybe not everyone, but I've seen that people are more willing to give their support, give their time where it's needed to help people, survive and thrive and flourish in business. So yeah, just I guess going back to what I said before is, firstly, make sure that you're establishing a strong, like-minded tribe, a like-minded network, and then those collaborative opportunities will just start to fall into your lap, I would say, because you will naturally start to understand what they are good at, what you're good at, what you're not so good at. And I think that will just naturally build those sort of transactional relationships where you can be kind of helping one another out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, Lauren. It for a lot of businesses, startup businesses, including ours, and I still see it even now. You know, you get a lot of people who I've seen people set up in business, and I'm sure you have. We don't do it now, but we delivered some programs through a couple of programs in the Yorkshire area that were like social media kind of overviews, if you like. And I get a lot of startup businesses in those in groups. And one or two would say, oh, and they've got high aspirations to, to sell their products, which is fantastic. But I think sometimes like you've just said, you have to give a little to get a lot. And that's always been my philosophy, is like, I am happy to give things and give my time and help and support, but there's a fine line between giving that and people taking advantage of that, and particularly with what we do, I'm sure the other sort of trainers will tell you this as well, is like, we often get people where they want our support and our guidance and our advice, which is fine, but there are certain things that you can help with and you will help with, but you have to be careful you don't be taken advantage of, let's say. And I guess now for me, I've been doing this for so long now, I can tell the difference between when I will help somebody and support them, and when they're just actually, no, you're taking too much now. I once had a lady ages and ages ago when I first set up saying, can I take you for a coffee and will you tell me how Twitter works and all about Twitter? Well, no, because that's what I do for a living. I do workshops and I do one-to-one training on all different programs and stuff, whilst I will give some information away. And on the flip side of that, I had a lady the other week, we developed a proposal for some account management, because we do training, but we also do the account management for clients as well, social media account management. So I put a proposal together, as we usually do, and I talked her through that proposal. But then usually you get some questions asked within that process, which I'm never going to go, oh, well, I can't tell you that. I will kind of go through a few bits within that process. And then the email that she sent me afterwards said, we definitely want to work with you, because I'm already impressed with how much you've given me some guidance and some knowledge and some support. And we haven't even started working with you. But I know from my own experience, I want to support people. I want to help people. But I have to kind of give a little bit of that away before they're going to invest in me. Why would they not? I had a gentleman that I spoke to yesterday, and when I'm on the call to him, I looked at his website, I looked at his social media, and I'm always looking at customer journeys. For me, I'm looking at how to shortcut it or make it as easy as possible from somebody finding your product to buying your product or your service. And the link on his Facebook wasn't working on his website. And I said, oh, whilst your Instagram feed is feeding through, Facebook, if somebody wanted to engage with you on Facebook, they can't find you on Facebook because it's not working. Like, oh, thanks for that. I didn't realize that. But we do it all the time. We don't look at our own website and social media. So for me, it's always about giving a little bit away. But then I know from that, what you're doing there is showcasing your expertise and your knowledge, and then you'll get something back. So, and I absolutely agree with that.
I wouldn't be afraid of being a bit selfish and saying that, if I collaborate with this person, it's gonna help me. That's not the issue.
No.
Collaboration can be building, a stronger network, a stronger community. For example, I don't know, on Instagram, you could approach a micro influencer, for example, that has great engagement and offer up one of your products, which is relatively cost effective and easy for you to do, in exchange for some promotion. You might be a food company, for example, and you might reach out to some fellow F&B businesses and maybe do a small business giveaway on Instagram, and that in turn will enable you to get more following. It will up your engagement. It will get your brand out there a bit more. So collaborative opportunities are beneficial. Don't be worried thinking, oh, is this going to be seen as I'm taking too much from this? But those other people that are going to collaborate with you and promote your products in exchange for something, they're going to be winning as well. So as long as you can see that it's good for both parties, I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's definitely something that I use quite a lot when I get LinkedIn requests. I'm looking for mutual benefit. So is there a mutual benefit to this? Does it help you? Does it help me? Then that's great. There's a good synergy here with our businesses. And sometimes you can't always see that, but you kind of know that by talking to somebody, you've got a very similar outlook in how you operate your business. And as you said earlier, it is about building those relationships, being authentic with people, and just really supporting somebody else's business which actually supports your business as well. So sometimes it's not quite as obvious of those collaboration, but it's just about finding businesses that have got a similar values, if you like. I was talking to somebody this morning actually about that, and they're a startup business, and they've kind of approached me to know who I would recommend for an accountant, as it happens, because they need an accountant. So, and I'm happy to share who I would value in my network, because at the end of the day, if I recommend somebody that's not good at what they do, that falls back on me. So I'm only going to ever recommend somebody that I know has got value, or I'm going to explain, you could use this person. I've heard that they're good, but I don't have any personal sort of experience with that person. So, but it's just about being open and honest, isn't it, really, and letting people make their own decisions around it. But
yeah, totally
absolutely
agree.
yeah. And actually, you said it earlier, it's like there are certain things I know for me, the finance side of things is not something I enjoy. I know I have to do it, but I know I need support with it. So therefore I look to that support and find the support that's relevant for me. I know the things that I am good at, but I also know the things that I'm not good at. And then it's about finding people around you that can help with those elements that you're not particularly good at. We can't be an expert in absolutely everything, can we, and stuff.
Exactly.
So
Do what you do best and outsource the rest, is what I say.
correct. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so next one is, which is an interesting one, but I completely get where we are right now with the, particularly with the pandemic and sort of being in, I guess for some people, almost semi-lockdown at the moment, because we're hopefully coming out of this situation and getting back into some sort of normality and back into offices and things. Talk me through this importance of self-care as an entrepreneur. So I am really interested to hear more about this, because this is probably something that I'm not that great, I have to say. So tell me how I should be better, Lauren.
Yeah, well, not medical professional. We'll start with that disclaimer. But yeah, I mean, I guess the topic of self-care has always been something that's been actually quite close to my heart. I've had a couple of sort of, I guess, mental health struggles as I've kind of gone through my early and late 20s. And for me, it was what kind of got me through was, I guess, kind of speaking about it and being honest with how I am feeling. And I think that is something that is, I guess, more apparent than ever before as we keep going. Obviously you can't ignore the fact that there's been coronavirus and people have been locked at home, and it's not been the norm. People have lost their lives and people have lost their jobs and their livelihood, and it has been a negative time and quite a roller coaster of emotions. And I think for me, my passion for self-care is something that I want to kind of champion and be an ambassador for in the small business community, because again, as I mentioned before, it can be an extremely lonely place. And I think as well, when you're building your empire, if you like, it's very, very difficult to kind of have boundaries. If you have a full-time job, for example, you might go to the office, work 9 till 5, work really hard, but shut that laptop and come home. If you're growing a business at home where, your hard work will in turn mean success, and it will mean when your next paycheck will come, well, who is telling you when to switch off? You can just carry on working, and growing a business is so accessible now. You literally need a laptop, and you can work 24 hours a day. So I have seen it myself, chatting to to entrepreneurs in their early business stages that have experienced that burnout feeling because they haven't set boundaries for themselves. You know, they've continued to work and they go, oh, it's great because this is my passion and I love it. It doesn't feel like work. And it might not feel like work, but actually a few weeks down the line, it will all, you know, it'll be like a big wave that comes over you and you will think, oh, I'm absolutely exhausted. You know, I'm mentally fatigued. I'm feeling quite poorly. My head isn't clear. I don't have clarity on what happens next. So I think for an entrepreneur, they can work and get to that point, and then it takes a long time to recover. I think it's really important to make sure that it doesn't get to the point where you're so close to that burnout. I think it is important as you grow your business that you ensure that you maintain levels, I guess, of you know, clarity and self-care practices, and you weave those into your day to make sure that you're always checking in with yourself. So, you know, self-care means so many different things to different people. You know, some people go, oh, it's just you saying, you know, you need a bubble bath, or you need a walk, or you need chocolate, which is all great. It's all things that are really going to, you know, fuel you and make you happier, but that might not work for you. Self-care might be literally you shutting the laptop at 7 p.m. and making a nice home cooked meal. It might be, you know, not scheduling calls on a Friday to make sure that you can catch up with your admin, for example. It can mean a million different things. So I think it is a personal thing, and I think you as a person will work out what works for you and what serves you. I think as you kind of go along your business journey, you will understand what are your triggers, and what are those things that lead you on the path to a potential burnout. Just in my personal experiences, not as a business owner, but someone that's always worked and worked hard and really had a passion for wanting to succeed and do well in a job. You know, for me, for example, although I absolutely love coffee, and one of our Sheenie's business trainers, Luan, has given me some amazing coffee. She started a coffee business. Absolutely love it, could drink it all day, but I know that I can only have one or two, because if not, I'll be riddled with anxiety, which is not healthy. And also for me, I know that having a strong morning routine, for example, really sets me up for the day. So that is something simple as getting up in the morning, doing some kind of exercise, be it a walk, be it a HIIT class, and having a healthy breakfast and writing a to-do list and starting my day with kind of mental clarity and focus. That really serves me well. What doesn't serve me well is waking up late and having 5 coffees and working until 9 p.m. and I'm not helping anyone. Yes, I might be ticking a few more things off my to-do list, but in the long run, I'm just going to burn myself out and I'm no good to anyone. So yeah, I guess in summary, after that waffle, I just think it's more important than ever before to check in with yourself, because, you know, you're not going to get business success overnight. This is going to be a hard, long journey, and it is going to be a lot of hours and it is going to be hard work. So you need to make sure that you're instilling self-care practices in your day as you grow your business, so you're not sacrificing your own physical and mental health, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Yes, you might have grown a successful business, but if you're a broken person in 5 years, then what's the point? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It totally does. I think it's one of those where, you know, it's an interesting one. I know a bit like yourself. I've drunk more and more coffee over the last 12 months. I didn't drink coffee at all, and then I started drinking coffee, and I do like coffee, but I was aware that when I was younger, it's like it's not good for my system, so I stopped drinking it. But then I kind of like, oh, I think I'm okay with it now, so I'll start drinking coffee again. But then I ended up with not being able to sleep during the night because of stomach pains, and I couldn't quite work it out. It's either coffee or alcohol. And I was hoping it wasn't both. So I thought, well, I'll give one up and see what happens. So I gave up the coffee and I slept much better. So it's an interesting one. And you know, I do drink tea, but not coffee. I'll still have a coffee now and again. I had one this morning, but I'll tend to not drink coffee throughout the day, which is what I was doing before. So, you know, I think that's a really good point. And I know a bit like you in that, I guess I'm probably not as much, I haven't got such a routine as you have, Lauren, which is great to hear, by the way. However, I do know that when I'm getting to a point where I'm getting tired and have too much going on, or I'm not working to my best capacity, it's time to walk out of this room, go into another room and do something different, whether that's a jigsaw or just sitting watching a TV program. And I'm not a big telly watcher, I have to say, but I will do something different to being in this room, because I know, and that, I mean, I'm working from home at the moment, but that's whether I'm working in the office or working here. It's just a case of taking myself away from what would be work based.
Yeah.
In some respects, whilst I, it's obviously social media is my work surrounding, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to take yourself out of that when, most people will go into social media to be social, which is the same for me. But then when you work in social media and that's your social capacity as well, it's quite difficult sometimes to just separate that out. And so, which is why I'll take myself like away from social media and do something that's not social media related and stuff. So
definitely, and as you say, that doesn't need to be you just lying on the sofa all night. That might be a jigsaw, it might be reading a book, it might be going for a walk, it can be something else. It's just not, as you say, that work. It's just a break from that. Definitely helps.
Yeah. And I remember, it's quite a while back now, but sort of in my 40s, having a bit of a, I don't know, just a realization, and sort of realizing that I wasn't as anxious all the time and stuff. So, and when I went to see the doctor about it, he said, "What do you do to relax?" Like, "Oh, I go running." Right. What else do you do? Nothing much. I go running. I enjoy running. And it's like, but everything is structured in your day. And he said to me, which I disagree, he said, you need to find something that's unstructured, like reading a book or reading a magazine. In my head, I couldn't, if I was to sit down and read a book or read a magazine, it wouldn't relax me. I'd feel anxious because I wasn't doing something that was structured, if that makes sense. But that's just my personality. And I accept that that's the case. If I'm doing something, it has to be something that has got a purpose to it, or a reason. So sitting and reading a magazine is just not, no, that ain't gonna happen really. So
well, it's interesting, isn't it? What works for one person might not work for others. So you've got to find your own groove with it, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So building resilience as a business owner. So tell me about this.
Well, interestingly, I think resilience means so many different things to different people. And I've got the definition here on my phone of what resilience is. It's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So I think in this kind of discussion, it's a bit twofold. It is building resilience within your business and building resilience within yourself. I guess the building resilience within your business is, I guess, now more apparent than ever before, because we need to be equipped and prepared for another potential, pandemic or something else that might happen that might actually, jeopardize and make it difficult or even impossible for us to run a business. So what I mean by that is, you might have learned during lockdown that you haven't been able, I don't know, to work remotely. You may not have been able to fulfill your orders. You might not have been able to work with external suppliers. So I guess what I'm trying to say is resilience in terms of the business is making sure that you actually have given some thought to what would happen tomorrow if all this happens again, and it might actually be, even worse, for example. So how can you actually pivot your business, a bit of a buzzword, which I'm sick of hearing, but pivot, adapt, and make sure that you in some capacity can still function as a business? That might be absolutely impossible because of the type of business that you do, but I think 9 times out of 10 there's still things that you can do to ensure that you can actually still work. But I'd love to get your thoughts, because I guess social media you can do always virtually, I guess, but it'd be interesting to know how social progress have potentially adapted to still
Yeah.
succeed, I guess.
Yeah, and so that's a really interesting one, and this is an interesting subject for me because when I set up Social Progress, I was very much aware, coming from a business link, surrounding business link advisor. One of the things that I kind of was key to me when I worked at Business Link is I'd heard so many times, and you may have heard this as well, that the first 5 years of a business is the most difficult, and if you can make it beyond 5 years, you're a sustainable business. So my key driver, if you like, when I set up Social Progress was to make sure we hit 5-year mark. And when we did, I was like, great, that's I'm so happy that we've done that. But it's not an easy process. And I think you have to be very determined to make sure that you've got things in place to make sure you are sustainable and resilient. And I think the other thing that I've seen is, and I'll come to the pivoting bit in a moment, but what I am seeing is there's a lot of people now who've gone, actually, do you know what, I'm going to set up and I'm going to be a social media person, which is fantastic because people see it as maybe an easy thing to do. But as you probably well know more than most, I would think, Lauren, working with all the different trainers, it's not as easy as people think it is. So, and I genuinely feel that because social media in the main is easy to set up and free to set up, people assume that therefore it is easy to actually to manage, to train, to work your own business. But again, you'll understand this by working with the trainers. There's so many little bits that are the missing components that, yes, you can set up your social media, but you might not be able to do it in the best way because you've not picked up on a few little bits that need to be done in the background. What we have seen in terms of lockdown, which is not what we expected to see at all, we are busier than ever. We've never been as busy as we are right now. In the last week alone, I've probably had about 6 or 7 different inquiries that have come in. Why? Because the people that accept that things have changed and they need to change their business have accepted, in some cases, right, well, if I'm going to change my business, although I've pushed social media to one side in the past, I probably need to embrace that social media stuff that I really didn't want to do, but I'm going to have to. So that's what we're seeing. We've had a number of different businesses that have not been on social media or have had low-key social media, and now they've gone, right, well, I need to up my game with that, because that I can see that that's where people are going to find me, and if they can find me online and then engage with us, fantastic, but I've got to use social media as a hook to get people in, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing much more businesses coming to us for that support, whether that's training or whether that's account management, but absolutely is the case, and I can't see that stopping anytime soon. The only thing that I think will change it is, sadly, when businesses start to make people redundant and money becomes tighter, as we know that this will happen, that budgets will become more key, and so they'll probably strip back some time in terms of their marketing and their social media. But if they're using the social media right and they're using the marketing right, it should actually be fundamental to actually them driving their business forward. But we'll see. I don't know what will happen, but honestly, it's been great for us. We had a couple of businesses at the beginning of the pandemic, when we all went into lockdown, that kind of went, we're going to have to put you on pause. None of them went, we need to stop working with you. It's just pause. And a couple of those have come back now and said, right, can we get going again with you guys? And as I say, we've got new clients on board as well during that period. So and we've got quite a lot in the pipeline to actually
that's really great to hear. No, that is really great to hear. And I think that is definitely a way, like discussing the ways in which you can be resilient within a business. But then I guess the other side of it is being resilient as a person, because I think if anyone wants to start a business and go on this journey, they need to understand that it's not going to be an easy road. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to put in for an application for funding, you're going to be rejected, you're going to work overnight for a big proposal for a client and they're going to say no. So I can't really speak from experiences because I'm not an entrepreneur myself, but I mean, I've had times where I've gone to an interview and they've said no and I've been gutted, and there's been times that I've thought, my goodness, this idea I've got is brilliant, and I've pitched it and they've gone, oh, it's okay. And it's the way you deal with that. You know, are you going to let that be a moment that you dwell on for days and weeks to come? Are you going to take it as a learning and brush yourself off? But I guess for you, it'd be interesting to know how you built that as you started.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think a lot of businesses do this. When you start out in business, you kind of get an inquiry, and yeah, desperate is the wrong word, but you want to get the work, you want to get some income coming in, so you will do absolutely anything almost to make that work. And so you end up working in some cases with people that are not aligned to you and your business. And what I've recognized over the years is there are some people that will love us, and there are some people that won't love us. And the people that don't love us, then that's fine. Find somebody that you do love. So we don't, and this sounds really arrogant, and I don't mean it to be, but we don't bust a gut for people. We do what we do it well. We know that we're good at what we do. We have confidence in what we do. We showcase how confident we are in terms of the knowledge that we've got. It's an interesting one because I had a gentleman on the phone this morning. We had a Zoom call with somebody who I won't tell you what they make because it'll give it away, but they supply something to royalty. Okay, so, and they said to me during the week, yeah, I'm happy to have a Zoom with you, but I don't know if we're compatible, which is totally fine, because I was like, oh gosh, yeah, we might not be compatible. If you work with royalty, we're not the royalty, we might not be royalty to you, let's say. So we had a chat this morning, and we've got a meeting in the diary next week for me to go through a proposal with him. And I genuinely think we will work actually together. He's a very nice guy, and I can see our business is working well together. But we know there's other people that we talk to, and you kind of think it's not going to work because you don't see the world in the same way that we do. And I don't lose sleep over it anymore, Lauren. It's like, to me, I'm not going to really push to get somebody to work with us if they don't value what we do or they don't work in the same way. So, but that takes time. That doesn't happen when you set up a business. When you set up a business, you want every piece of work that's out there until you understand that actually not everybody's going to like it, and you're not going to win every piece of work, and it doesn't really matter. As businesses start to come in, and there is lots of business out there, for me, I just see that there's lots of opportunity, but I don't need to do it all. There's other people that can do the work too. And locally to us, we have a number of businesses that are similar to ours, and some we got on with great. You know, they're same businesses as us, but we don't see them as competition. We just see them as another business that do what we do, that we value and we have a lot of respect for. But there are others that we don't. But that's just how life is, isn't it? Really. So, and I think the more confident you become in your own ability and your own service, funnily enough, the more it attracts people to you. It's when you try too hard that actually that pushes people away, because they can sense that you're trying too hard to win a piece of work. It's a really weird one, but it's a fine balance to get that right.
I guess it's about having confidence in your, like you say, you're offering your skill set. And also, so many people come to me and say, you know, the first year or whatever, I was like undercharging people so much because I was just so nervous that if I didn't offer them a bargain, that they just wouldn't say yes. But, you know, you've got to, people pay for I don't know what the saying is, but, you know, they pay for the 10 years experience for you to do a job amazingly in 10 minutes. So, you know, you need to have, I guess, the confidence in what you do, what you offer, your price point. And then you, like you say, you're going to attract the correct people.
The other thing as well is it is about having a process in place of how you how you onboard people. And again, that's another word that I hate onboarding and I hate pivoting, by the way. So it's just, I hate all these buzzwords. But one of the things that we did recognize is when I used to get a phone call in and somebody might ring me and say, oh, we're looking for you to train our workforce on social media. So can you give me a price for a workshop? How long would it take? What would be the price bit? And I literally had a piece of paper stuck up above my phone on my desk that told me all the prices, because I went into panic mode and I needed that there so I could have that information there and then. And I would give people on the phone, oh, it's going to be this amount. Nowhere in that process had I started to build a relationship with people. I gave them a price, but they don't know what I can offer and they didn't know what the value of it was. I never ever do that now, and we don't do it as a team. So I've just told you a bit about speaking to a guy this morning. Yes, I've got all the information there. I could give him the price straight off. I never ever do that. I do a two-stage process. Number one, I meet with somebody, whether it's virtually or face-to-face. I get to know them because they're sussing me out, I'm sussing them out and working out whether there's a relationship there. And then I put a proposal together and then I deliver that proposal. And some people will make a decision there and then, but I'm still not interested in that. At the end of the day, they've got to take that information, absorb it and decide whether they want to work with us or not. Yeah. But that process gives people the chance to make that informed decision, and it's a much stronger relationship than me just giving a price and then buying that price, because they're buying on price, not on the experience and not on the relationship. And I would rather have a piece of work on the relationship than I would on the price, if that makes sense. So and it works. We get a lot better result from that because we are building a relationship, not just giving somebody a price for a service.
No, that makes sense.
And I think that too many people kind of try to go in for the kill, if that makes sense, without actually taking a step back out of it and then putting something together that's of value and then delivering that, really. So, but that's a tip that I speak to a lot of people about, that I think that people don't necessarily get, that you've got to take your time at getting into that and don't just jump in at the price and stuff. So, interesting one.
Great advice.
Okay, so that is all the questions. Thank you ever so much for joining us today, Lauren. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I know, although we meet up on a regular, often, but I wouldn't say too often, it might be once or twice a year, and it's always lovely to see you. We don't see you enough, and we get all the emails, but it's been lovely just to catch up with you today. So thank you.
And it's lovely to hear a northern voice as well. I'm based in London, but obviously you might tell, I think it's quite neutral, my accent, but I'm from sort of near Liverpool, Manchester.
I didn't know.
So I just like to hear people that are from London as well. It's just really refreshing. It's really nostalgic. So yeah, and you're such a pleasure to work with, both yourself and Esther. You're amazing. Like, it's just so easy to work with you guys. So I'm super grateful for that. And yeah, thank you for having me today. Could chat for ages. It's been really lovely.
Yeah, it has for me as well. Lastly, we haven't talked very much about Enterprise Nation and what all the services that they can offer. So please give us a little bit more information about that. Where can we find you online, and what actually can you supply and give to businesses out there? Because I know there's a whole host of information that you can help with, but please tell people that are going to be watching this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think from my advice would be, take a look at the website, enterprisenation.com, because that is going to be your biggest source of content and resources. I mean, in a nutshell, what Enterprise Nation does is we support small businesses start, grow and thrive, and that might be through different events. So I help head up the events team. We have a calendar of 300 events a year. That is training in specific topics like social media. It's buying, selling, and also what we do is we do industry specific events as well. So it might be food and beverage, it might be beauty, it might be health and well-being. So not only will you get really, really specific events and content for your industry, but you'll also meet like-minded people in that industry as well. So along with the events calendar, we work with some really big amazing corporates that are really, really on board to help small businesses grow. So we've got lots of exciting things actually in the pipeline. We've got an accelerator, we've got some boot camps, we've got some different events and panels, and we've got some great content on there as well. And our team content are brilliant at keeping up to date with all the government news that is going on. It's so noisy, isn't it, at the moment? And they simplify it and send it out to our small business community. So at the very least, check out the website, subscribe to our mailer, and yeah, I hope to see you at future events very soon.
That's lovely. Thank you, Lauren, and thanks again for joining us today.
No worries, Janet. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.